Now, back to Willard and Dibs.
Mark, do you have to be a homer here on the radio?
Well,
Brian, you have no idea.
Well, hold on a second.
On 95.7 The Game.
Usually, but not always. It's not a rule. Like, we have a little guideline. We've got a Bible, and it doesn't say that in there.
About you being a homer all the time?
Yeah, just usually. Yeah, I'll throw you a curveball every now and again.
First commandment, thou shalt not cross the local teams.
I mean, thou shall think positively until otherwise noted.
Yes, and when you actually came out and buried the Giants in your famous 15-minute rant, they did go on a little bit of a run.
They did.
And subsequently, that's worn off.
They're better. Well, they're better since then. But
they've been slightly above 500 since the rant.
There's a good little, they had that 3 series in a row against the top teams in the league, and they went 5-4.
Ooh.
Well, no, but that's all. Come on, dude. That's all you could hope. You play the Dodgers, Braves, and Guardians. You get 5-9. You take that. That's all I'm saying.
The fact that you use the phrase "that's all you can hope" tells us all we need to know about where we are.
Dibs.
Honestly,
come on.
I'm a Giants fan.
You're
right,
you
though. That is all 9 we can
games.
Hope. It's a gauntlet.
Forget all you can hope. You take that.
Yeah, you take it.
You go into those 9. You go 5-4. You take that.
You take it.
Okay.
Do you remember what you predicted, Willard, and albeit unofficially? I sent the text before these 3 series started. How many games you think the Giants will win?
I think I ticked off when
you were
asked
very
me?
upset.
Okay.
You said one.
I did, yes. Okay.
1.
2.
1 game.
One man.
Game.
And they won 5.
Yeah, they won 5. Pay the over.
And you're right. That's all you could hope.
Yeah, no, you take that.
Your words, not mine.
Let me redo. You take that.
You take it.
You take it.
And if you win 5 of every 9 games, you're a playoff team.
You win.
Yeah. You end up being a 90-win team.
Now, the crap that they did before that with the Cardinals and the Cubs and the Rickwood and all that junk, you don't take that. You don't take that. But the last 4 series, the Giants have looked like a baseball team. Here's 3 things I'll say, and then we'll go back to Dubs. 3 things I'll say about the Giants, okay? The last 4 series, they've looked like a baseball team. Okay? That's number 1. Like, even in their losses over the weekend to the Guardians.
5-4 to the Guardians.
They're plucky. They fight to the end, 5-4, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The last 4 series.
Although you did see what a real bullpen looks like. That's the Guardians.
I think that's a very good team.
Yeah.
My God.
Oh, yeah.
If I had to predict a World Series winner right now, I would say Cleveland, based on what I've watched. But anyway, last 4 series, they've looked like a baseball team. Number 2, they shaking it up. I don't know exactly what happened behind closed doors, but Slater being traded and Ahmed being DFA'd within 72 hours of each other, somebody is philosophically pushing something. And I don't know if it's right. Are they clearing a runway for Matos and Wisely? Are they clearing the decks for further acquisition? I'm not sure yet, but that is a conceptual shakeup. And then lastly, the cavalry is coming. Harrison back, Snell back. Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb will start the next 2 games in San Jose. And supposedly will be here within 2 weeks. So, does it matter? Will it work? I don't know. Cavalry is coming. And the last thing,
this would be the 4th thing, this to me is shocking that it's the 4th thing.
Well, actually, I said there were only 3 things, but there's sort of an addendum.
Well, and the addendum is something we talked about on our show thread, I think.
Yeah, the addendum is the dudes you've all been screaming for is here, and a lot of you don't seem to be acknowledging that. Yes or no, when Heliot comes to the plate, you don't go to the bathroom.
Of course.
Okay.
But I think the other piece of that is what you shared on the thread, and it struck me, and we'll get back to the Warriors momentarily, of course, but the fact that there doesn't seem to be that much excitement over the fact that Heliot Ramos is an all-star.
Well, I mean,
there is some excitement, but this should be like the biggest piece of news in the Bay Area.
It's bananas. He
did it in 2 months.
He did it by missing
40 games,
almost
basically.
a month and a half of the season. If you go backwards to the energy that Schmidt got for 2 weeks last year and the energy that Matos got for a week and a half earlier this year, if you go back to those moments and the supposed thought was, dude, do you know what this team needs? This team needs a home homegrown player who will produce on the daily and be an all-star. Well, here he is. He's batting third. Melvin already said he's not getting a day off for the rest of the year. Here he is. And maybe I'm like projecting. Maybe everybody is all fired up about it. I don't know. Attendance is fine. Attendance is fine.
It's up.
It's just good. You take it. But, we're over here trying to coin Vamos Ramos. And there is, I can't put my finger on it. What is the hesitation? What is the thing that is sort of like I hear from people, well, yeah, you got your homegrown outfielder, but he didn't come up the way we wanted him to come up. He came up because of injury. He didn't come up because Farhan knew. He came up because it was like an accident. And I'm like,
why does that matter?
Dude, when you find your girl, do you care where you met her? What are you doing? Celebrate the girl. Like, what do we do? I don't get it. This guy encompasses every little aspect of what we've been asking for. He is got flair. He is homegrown. He is an outfielder. He is an everyday player. He is hitting for power. He is hitting for average. He is playing better defense than we thought he would. He's doing it. He's a first-round draft pick who paid off. He's everything we've been asking for. And I still hear people running around going, hey, the Giants need need one of them homegrown stars. You been to a game lately? Folks, he's here.
He's it. He's it.
Here he is. So, anyway, that's all. He's here.
Surprising that has been, the reaction has not been as loud and profound as I thought that it would have been. The fact that you have your first homegrown outfield all-star since Chili Davis. And most people listening have no idea what Chili Davis is. Chili Davis is not something that you eat at the county fair. Chili Davis was the last homegrown outfield all-star that you had, and it's been 40 years since that's happened. So that's kind of a big deal. Yet I'm not really feeling the excitement, and you captured it on our show thread, so I thought I'd bring that up.
This guy, in fact, I would argue, has done a bunch of stuff that you couldn't have even hoped for in your wildest dreams. The Giants are sitting there. This guy was on the club in spring training, and he hit $150. And they were like, yeah, not ready.
He's hitting 300.
He's hitting 300, and he's holding down center field. That was never even a thought.
Yeah.
Nobody thought in their wildest dreams Heliot Ramos was going to come up and hold down center field. That's Jung Hoo Lee. Like, they signed a dude long-term to be their center fielder. And then Luis Matos had a couple cups of coffee out there.
Yeah,
and they're
10
like,
games,
now the defense, it's better. It's still not quite right. Yaz can do that. He's okay out there. We're fine. He's a good outfielder. Then this dude walked in, swaggered in, hits home runs to all fields. Man's number 3 in the order. He's up the middle playing plus defense in center field. The guy has been a stud. And clutch. Have you noticed the hits?
Big time.
They come at the right time. This dude will give you the RBI hit in the 8th inning when you need it.
He leads the team in home runs in 141 fewer plate appearances than Matt Chapman, with whom he's tied.
Right.
He's got 12 home runs in, 54 games? He's on pace to hit 36.
Correct.
Now, he probably won't get there because there aren't that many games left.
Well,
because
he
he's
missed.
played 54 of, the 88 they
85?
played. Right.
Yeah, whatever we are.
And, he's already got 12 home runs. So he's probably going to get you 25, and he might be the one to get you 30.
I heard a lot of people say, and there's always like the two different sort of aspects of how you approach Giants baseball right now. Some people will be like, no, we need to try to win every year. Others are like, what are you guys doing? You're not the Dodgers. You're not the Padres. You're not the Braves. So, please just keep developing. Get the young guys up and develop. And if you got us to the end of the year and you had some stuff, like some real development and some exciting players, we'll accept that. will take the 79 wins and players who look like they are going to be sustainable, homegrown, young, exciting players. Well, those of you who said you were going to be happy with that, how you doing? Because it sounds silent to me, and I would argue that an outfield of Jung-Hoo Lee, Heliot Ramos, and Luis Matos, we're on the doorstep. They just traded Slater. We're on the doorstep of that now being a reality. A bunch of 20-somethings, youth, speed,
power,
excitement, power, all of this stuff. Running around in the outfield on the everyday basis. That's what you said was the barometer, I was told. And here it is, and I hear the same complaints as if nothing's changed. All right.
Those are people who just aren't paying attention, I think. And if you look at this team at 44-47, 3 games below, you could look at the record and say, oh, same old group, same old mediocrity, same old Farhan. But then you look a little closer and you see not one, but probably 8 homegrown younger players who are doing big things, from Harrison to Webb to Doval to Wisely to Ramos to Matos. And you look across to Patrick Bailey, and you look across the team and you see young players who are playing well and contributing, not yet contributing to winning, but they still might be a playoff team. And you're right, the cavalry's coming and help is on the way. I'm just surprised that more people haven't started to latch on to the excitement around this team.
I want to jump back to something on Clay, but one last question. How do you read these 2 moves that they just made? Is it a youth movement, or is it a precursor to a huge, go for it July? Slater traded, Ahmed DFA'd. What's your translation?
I think it's both. I think the Slater trade was one that was kind of a nod to the youth movement, because Matos and Ramos are going to be able to play as well as Slater and probably deserve to. And so for Austin Slater, now was the time, and you give him a chance to go out there and, maybe get more of an everyday role, and you bring in a AAA prospect, and that helps you. That wasn't really a sell move. It wasn't really a buy move. That was kind of just a good old-fashioned Farhan roster move. But the Ahmed one is interesting, because do you really believe that Wisely can be your everyday shortstop throughout the remainder of the year? Maybe. He's played well, he's hit great, and he's defended more than adequately. He's been good enough to where you could look at him and say, all right, you could be our shortstop 5 of every 7 games, and we could Fitzgerald you like Fitzgerald is playing tonight, and you could maybe mix and match it if you needed to, or this could be a precursor to a big move.
He's hitting 278, got an OPS of 734. I would like him to stay closer to bases when he's out on the base paths. Stay closer to the bases. Brett, dive. Brett, get back on the base. Back! Anyway, there's that. But yes, and he's had some big moments, some clutch moments. He had a walk-off home run against the Dodgers on fireworks night, for crying out loud.
You were there.
You want to talk about being a forever Giant. Just do that a couple times, and that's all we need. So, yeah, maybe it's that. The Austin Slater one, you're right. It paves the way for young outfielders. It's also opportunistic. Austin's a free agent at the end of the year. You basically turn that into, knowing that next year Austin's not going to be in the mix, you turn that into someone. You turn that into someone who's got more years left on their deal. They receive a pitcher who they once had before, who they just sent down to the minors and tuck away. So I thought that was, yes, paving way for youth, but also opportunistic. But that's the one question I have, and they may still not know the answer. In other words, I think we're about to hit the 2 most important weeks of baseball in the tenure of Farhan Zaidi. Here we go. They just worked their way through 3 tough series and came out okay. But it's July 9th, and so now the trade deadline is coming fast. And I don't think this team, this organization, has any appetite or patience for a wait till next year vibe when it comes to Farhan Zaidi and his job status. I don't think they have the patience for it. So if they don't play well over the next 2 weeks and they find themselves 6 games out of the wild card standings and they just start opening things up to younger players, I would say that Farhan's going to be in a real tough spot. But if they play well, because here comes the cavalry, and over the next 2 to 3 weeks, if they play winning baseball, get back to or above 500 and firmly in the wild card mix, I could see some real effort at acquisitions at a high level. And I believe conversations will probably happen inside that ballpark tonight during the game. With the Blue Jays in town, this is absolutely one of the target teams. If you're trying to acquire players, so are the Cubs, and they just played them twice. That's when the GMs get together. Sitting there, watch the game, share a little popcorn. What's it going to take to get Bo Bichette on this team? Those conversations are about to happen. And how the Giants play over the next 15 to 20 games is going to give you your answer.
Yeah, and they're right now 3.5 out of the third wild card, and more importantly, they're 3 games below 500. So you get to 500, maybe you get a little bit above, and then you can start to think about what sort of an ad you could make. And you still have 3 more weeks until the deadline. But I do look at some of their rotational pieces, whether it's Hayden Birdsong, a guy who has, pitched his way into real relevance.
Interesting player, right?
In a trade, not that you want to give up on a good young arm, but you've got Carson Wisenhunt, who hasn't been as great, but he's got a lot of promise down in AAA.
Starting to pop, though. Starting to look really good.
So I do think you have a surplus of arms for this year, and you may have to make an uncomfortable move with one of your young pitchers, but you do have some guys who might be attractive to a team like Toronto.
There's no question. And yeah, you do wonder kind of how the rotation's going to play out. Ray and Cobb are going to come back. Snell's back tonight. We'll see who stays healthy. But all those guys, Harrison, now Birdsong's here. What do you do with Hicks? Webb is an all-star. Obviously, that's the anchor of the rotation. So, yeah, get ready. Here we go. This is the Giants stretch run, as it turns out, because this will determine play poker. And are you going high or are you going low? These next 2 to 3 weeks are going to determine the whole